Okay, so we are really lucky to be joined tonight with Sophie Power, who is ultra running marathon woman extraordinaire. And we were really lucky to meet Sophie at the Sports and Exercise Medicine Conference back in March, where we were talking about our return to running guidelines, and Sophie was talking about all her amazing achievements. And she may have slightly tried to encourage both Grainne and myself, once Grainne has had her fourth baby, to join her in a mini ultra run, perhaps. We'll see how we feel in 2020 about that.
Can I just say one that you get ice cream along the way or something? That's what sold it to me.
Take an ice cream.
Ice cream. Yeah, I can do that.
That's what sold it to us, right? Sophie has just completed the Spine Fusion, which is a 268-mile run. Is that right, Sophie?
Yes.
Over 5 days. She might correct me on some of the stats here. She completed that about 2 weeks ago. And she came second lady and seventh human overall, which is just ridiculously incredible. And she is, I guess, most well known for the amazing photo that was taken, the Strava photo that was taken of her breastfeeding with her second baby boy, Cormac. And really, she has now perhaps inadvertently become a bit of a women's health advocate for helping women reach encouraging women to reach their dreams and realise that they can exercise, be a mum, and also a businesswoman, which Sophie is as well. And we were really keen to talk to Sophie just about all of her achievements, her thoughts on our guidelines, because she's kindly read them, sent us some suggestions as to how to improve certain aspects of them. And we're really hoping that she will inspire all of you as fitness professionals and medical health professionals to use the guidelines, because even someone like herself, who is an elite athlete, recognises the importance of rehabilitating safely and slowly to a point when having had a baby and returning to running. So thanks, Sophie, for joining us on this rather sticky, hot Wednesday evening. Tell us a little bit about yourself, which I haven't already covered.
Okay, so I'm a mum of two boys. So my oldest is Danica, he's 4.5, and Cormac just turned 1 a month ago, which is quite scary. Yeah, I'm a businesswoman, had a big career in finance, co-founded a technology company that clean polluted air. And I recently left that to move my family out of the city and work freelance advising companies and startups on fundraising and strategy. So kind of busy business, busy being mum of two boys. And I'm a fairly ambitious ultra runner along the way. I love to challenge myself in races. So I basically should just describe myself as a juggler, because that's what I do.
Yeah, nice. I agree.
Very inspirational.
Hugely inspirational. And when would you say your ultra running career began?
So I started running from scratch 10 years ago. So I've not always been an athlete. So I was second last in the mile at school. Second last. Not last, second last. And it's like I was about 14 and I remember it like it was yesterday. So I never thought for myself as a runner. And then I accidentally signed up for a 250 kilometer race across the Sahara Desert with 9 months to train. I say accidentally. So this is called the Marathon des Sables. It's now quite famous as a desert foot race. But my friend had done it and he said, "You're really good at hiking." It's a hiking race and most people walk it. And so he said, I'd just been made redundant from finance. I'd just got married and they told me to go and have babies because that's what married women do. So I was completely in a loss of my mind, and I just said yes, signed up, then realized I really didn't want to be out in the desert all day in the heat. I wanted to be back in the shade. So I should probably learn to run, because then I get back to my tent quicker. So I started running from scratch. So that was 10 years ago. And then since then, I've never taken it very seriously, I guess, until the last few years. Just done loads of races that I really enjoy. And actually still, I just do races that I really enjoy. I'm not out to win. I'm not out to compete. I just really enjoy it.
Amazing. So you're, I guess the race you're most well known for, if you like, is the UTMB, which you completed last year. That's right, isn't it? So last year. So you would have been pregnant when you were training for that. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And that pregnancy, how did you have any issues during that pregnancy? Any pain or any pelvic floor issues? And as well as that, how were you training when you were pregnant at the time?
So this was my second baby. So I had a lot of learning from my first pregnancy. I have weight trained since before I ran. So weight training, heavy weights has been a really big thing for me. Being strong is really important to me. I actually did Muay Thai before I started running. So I love to be strong. And I stopped running at 7.5 months of my first pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stopped weight training at 8.5 months. But when I gave birth, and it was a difficult labor and a episiotomy and Von-2 delivery, I had no pelvic floor.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the day after literally wetting myself on the hospital room, and I was going, oh my God, what is this? And the woman's like, your pelvic floor's weak. And I was like, sorry, what? What's the pelvic floor? I thought those little squeezes I did like a couple of times in yoga class, like that was just for labor. Obviously not. So I knew that I think running contributed to it. And I had a little bit of SBD at the end of the pregnancy. But I did get back into running, but I couldn't take a running step for 3 months while I healed, and I was breastfeeding as well. So I took all of that learning into my second pregnancy.
Okay.
And I actually stopped running at 5 months. And the crazy thing about it was I knew I had a place for UTMB, the Ultrarunning de Mont Blanc, before I was pregnant. Because was it before I was pregnant? About when I was pregnant, because I'd missed out so many years in the ballot. I had a place when I was pregnant with Donica, and I lost it because they didn't count that as a reason to give me a place the next year, whereas an injury they defer you. Another whole massive issue I'm not happy about. But I knew I missed out so many years. I had my place, so the whole of my pregnancy was I'll have a 3-month-old baby. There's no chance in hell I'm getting around this course. Of course there isn't. But why don't I just have that in my diary as something to work towards, to have something that I could maybe make sure I was focused during my pregnancy and getting back afterwards. And so I thought, what do I need to do? And running is actually not the reason for the race. A lot of it's hiking. So stop early, stop at 5 months, keep the weight training up, went to low impact. So I went to stair mill. And I did massive stair mill workouts during my pregnancy, cross trainer workouts, hiking on the treadmill at an incline, kind of hiking in general, loads of walking, spin class. So everything to try and make sure that I wasn't hurting my pelvic floor before, and knowing that, but keep my weight training up. So use poles during the race.
Yeah.
So pull-ups, tricep dips, 8 months plus pregnant, quite happy with those, keeping my legs strong as well. And so that's the training I did. So all focused on the race, but actually it turned into the right training for pregnancy. So if we were to have another baby, I'd actually do the exact same thing, knowing that that's what keeps me fit, keeps me strong, and actually gets me back in the gym and back to training quickly after I give birth. And a quick labor as well, which is quite good.
Yeah.
How quick?
I don't think it was that bad. It was about 4 hours, 4.5 hours.
I think of that during my 36-hour labours.
My first one was 40. So I was like, okay, it's got to be quicker than this.
And during your second pregnancy, you didn't actually have any pelvic floor, or you went leaking urine. Did you have any of the pelvic girdle pain or SBD? Did you have any of that in your second pregnancy?
Not really. I think I didn't. So I put on 25 pounds in both my pregnancies. But partly because I was walking the whole time. The only time I had any pain was when I always wore a Gabriella belt. So it's a black stretchy belt. Had to get them from the US because the ones they sell in the UK are rubbish. Really great. And I used for weight training the whole way through the pregnancy and just every single day under my clothing. And I think that really helped my back. It helped my posture, and made me much more comfortable. I always wore cushion trainers if I was doing anything. So I protected myself a lot better than I did the first time because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. And the first time, after your first pregnancy, how much guidance did you have on returning to running? Or was this just all from your own research? Or did you have a physio at the time? What sort of level of support did you have at that point after your first pregnancy?
Pretty much, zero specialists. So on day 2, so we gave birth actually at the Portland. Hubby was covered by insurance, and day 2 physio comes to see you, which should be the norm for all women. Like a lot of specialists that should come in. And she decided to tell me that, as I had no pelvic floor, I might not run again, which for a new mum who uses running for physical and mental health was the worst possible thing she could have said in the world. But I have a really cool husband, and he basically kicked her out of the room and told her to piss off, which was the best thing for everyone. So I got a piece of paper of some exercises to do. Nothing checked, not checked if I dirty recti, nothing checked, knew nothing. So it was basically nothing. I think it was different 4.5 years ago to now. Yeah. I think there's a lot more social media. The whole pregnancy training, I felt I was the only person pregnant and training. Second time I felt it was a bit more normal. Yeah. But I just went with one rule in pregnancy, that if it feels okay, it's probably okay. If it doesn't feel okay, it's probably not okay. And don't get your heart rate too high and don't get too hot.
Absolutely.
And that drove all of my choices into when to stop different weight exercises, when to adapt things. And I had an amazing personal trainer, Nick Kinsella, who has trained me for 7 or 8 years. And I said, okay, this doesn't feel quite right. So kettlebell swings, when I couldn't get over my bump anymore, he's like, okay, what are we looking to do with this exercise? Let's change it around. So we're working the same muscle, but in a different way. But I was back in the gym in 2 weeks, my first weight training, but it was very much, okay, I'm very unstable still. So I can't do, I feel all the relaxing. I feel like single leg deadlifts in my pregnancy. He started supporting me, so I was going to fall over otherwise. Although they're very important to for my balance and for the muscles. But it was all does this feel right? Yes, no. Didn't start running because I didn't really know the right exercises to do. I didn't have any specialist help, and that's why it took me 3 months to even take a running step, which if I'd known then what I knew now, I would think I would have been back much quicker.
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm jumping around a bit, but so you've had your second pregnancy, had Cormac, and you've got the UTMB as a goal, a very big goal. Because let me just check my notes, but I think I'm right. The UTMB is 106 miles, and it's a 31,000 foot ascent over 48 hours.
Yeah, it's about 11,000. Yeah, about 11,000 meters of climbing, and the cutoff is 46.5 hours.
Right. So you did that at 3 months postnatal.
Yes.
Your second baby.
I wouldn't advocate that anyone else tries to do it 3 months postnatal. I'll just put it out there.
Yes, that's quite. That's the extreme, isn't it? And obviously, with our guidelines, we are generally recommending that women are probably not considering returning to a walk run program until they're 12 weeks or 3 months postnatal. That's obviously not set in stone. For example, I'm treating a lady at the moment who's 9 weeks postnatal, has amazing glute strength, has amazing pelvic stability, pelvic floor activation. So we've started a walk to run program a few weeks early. But generally, your type of goal is something that I would encourage a lady do further on in her postnatal journey, quite significantly further on. Yes, I mean, you're always going to get the unusual person like yourself who can achieve such a feat. But yes, we're not necessarily advocating that we encourage all of our postnatal ladies to get to achieve that sort of goal at 3 months. But when you did that amazing run, did you have any actual pain or any issues at that stage of your postnatal recovery?
During the run, no. And I think it's important to say that the reason this run was possible was because almost the nature of the terrain and how I approached the race. So I returned to running 7 weeks-ish, but I returned to running up a trail hill. Mm-hmm. So my first run was up a soft hill, so very, very low impact. And I only ran on trail, mm-hmm. which is much, much lower impact. So could I, at that point, at 3 months, could I run on concrete still? Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. And I run in hockers, which are very cushioned. Mm-hmm. But the nature of the race was, it's a hike in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. So up, you're hiking the hills. Down, I would normally, so one of my big strengths in running is actually how I can tackle the downhills. I couldn't do that in the race. And I knew that for my body. So for me, it was all, how do I get my body round in the gentlest possible way? Mm-hmm. And that was physically kind of on the lowering the pounding and making sure that was gentle. So I had no pelvic pain and no leakage, but also I had to eat enough to preserve my breast milk. And that involved eating a huge amount. Normally, between pregnancies or in ultras, I'm fat optimized, so I don't have to eat so much. But you can't do that breastfeeding because that involves not eating before a run. And like I was eating before I woke up in the morning. I was like 3 a.m. I was like, okay, I'm waking up, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. Breastfeeding killed me. So it was a very different way of getting around the run. But actually I had zero pelvic pain during the run. I didn't have any leakage that I was aware of. Mm-hmm. I wore EVB shorts most of the way around. So I had the extra support. Mm-hmm. And I was just really, had poles, and I used them on the downhill. So just really, really gentle on my body. If you'd asked me, I know like a road marathon sounds much easier than that. I could not have run a road marathon at 3 months postnatal. And then it was actually after that run, I got a little bit injured for a while. I actually pulled my back, kind of twisting the baby from one side to the other side in bed, and couldn't do anything for a month. But it was only after then that I really focused on how do I get back to being able to pound the road. And that's actually taken a longer period of time. And I'm still not quite there, but almost there. But that's taken much longer than getting to a point where I could do a physical endurance event, but a very low impact one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So interesting. And it's so interesting how much planning you can hear has went into your return and how you've thought out each process of it, which I think is the key thing. And that's what we're trying to encourage other people to do, is to think about what they're getting involved in and plan how they can make their situation meet it, because everyone's so individual. But it's really interesting that you've differentiated between the road running and the kind of hiking and trail running. That's really, really, it's just really interesting that you don't even feel that you're back fully yet, which is shows you how high impact and how much the pounding does take a toll on our bodies.
I think there's a lot of, if I look at my training that I did, and I was really lucky. So when I was about 7 weeks postnatal, I called up an amazing female ultra running coach called Edwina Sutton. Had 3 babies, incredible coach. I used to be coached by a guy, and I was like, there's no way this is going to work. Like, I'm talking about things that maybe I don't want to talk about with a guy. And my training plan had no running in it before, a few weeks before the race, and had barely any running. But was I getting fitter? Absolutely. And what people don't realize is you can have the same endorphins from that you get from running and get the same fitness benefits and work the same muscles by doing things like walking on an incline on the treadmill, which sounds really easy, but stick it up to 10% and fast hike, and your heart rate will go higher than it will be jogging. Stair mill, absolutely the same, brilliant for hills. I'm not a fan of the cross trainer, but a lot of people are. But also spin bike, get out of the saddle and spin bike. So you can get the same workouts, and it's the same thinking about how you'd return from an injury. I don't see returning from pregnancy to getting fit any different from I would do returning from a major muscle injury. It's exactly the same thing. You can't kind of run on an ACL injury. So what are you going to do to get back, keep the fitness, and make sure you're doing little things to muscle to get it there? We have to stop seeing it as pregnancy being something that's not an injury, because actually you are healing an injury in some way.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Well said. I've got this horrible feeling that my Zoom is not going to allow me to record for much longer than another 5 minutes, annoyingly.
We got a wee notification there to say that the host has extended to unlimited minutes, so I'm not sure.
I don't know,
but
what
if
that
not,
means.
You can probably stop and record again and group them together if you're savvy.
Oh, right. Sorry, this is my technological failing here.
I think it did say you upgraded to unlimited minutes.
Have I?
You must have done. Yeah.
It's weird that we got that and you didn't.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, they must have my bank details or something. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll carry on and see. So you're obviously getting notifications that I'm not. So let me know if it just suddenly stops recording. Yes. So then, so that brings us on to now your spine, to the spine, and your training for that. How long ago did that training start, and how did that journey go? And symptomatically, how were you when it came to this run, which is quite considerably different to the UTMB, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's a lot longer. It's a lot rockier. And I was going to be on my feet more, and there was spine training, but there was also kind of getting back to running better in my training and the long runs I was doing for it. So I was doing a week, which was a 4-hour run, then a 3.5-hour run, and a 3-hour run on trail with a heavy pack on. So that was the other difference, because I was carrying a much heavier pack. So I signed up in January and didn't really think about it. So the race has just been in June. And it was all about having a focus to get back to running much better trail, which involves running down hills, which involves much more pounding. And I found that I was still having pelvic pain. And that I hadn't really fixed it. And still having kind of some leakage with that when I put on a really heavy pack and ran down a hill. And we weren't even on road yet. I'm still not at a point where I will put a heavy pack on and run down a road hill. I mean, the loading is so many times your body weight on that. I know I've got to work out a few more months and it'll be fine once I recover from spine. So it was getting the running in, and then I had some hip injuries with some lack of flexibility, and then realized that actually with my pelvis I did need to actually get it working in the right way and work out what had gone wrong and where I was weak, and can I get that fixed. So that's how we met, and getting some kind of specific help on, there's the exercises that everyone's given to get you into a state that you can function perfectly throughout your life, that maybe don't involve getting on a trampoline, but involve everything else apart from getting on a trampoline, or maybe high knees in fitness class, because no one does high knees. I hate high knees. they should be banned. Like, they should not allow them in fitness class. You see all the women don't do high knees or
but
star
you should
jumps.
be able to. You should be able
to. But I think there's a way that getting back to that, being able to function, is where most of the guidelines stop. Mm-hmm. But that's not enough for an increasing proportion of women out there. And that was me. And it was a case of, I don't want this to be my issue. Like, I love my EVB shorts, so I want to wear them forever. No. Actually, they're really good for my back, so maybe I will just wear them forever. Finding the exercises, increasing the difficulty, that are actually going to replicate some of the jumping and the different movements that I'll be doing. And that definitely kind of started getting me much kind of stronger and doing kind of jumping with the exercises and replicating that through running, like how kind of holding and then doing a jump and trying to train them in that way. There's nothing out there on that at all. So that was what I think got me stronger. And then now I'm 2 weeks after the race, I'm going to start doing them again. Because I want to run down a road hill with a heavy pack. Until I can do that, I will not consider myself fixed.
Yeah, I mean, what we've been doing together. So I'm obviously not breaking any confidentiality here because it's all on Instagram anyway. But Sophie and I have been working together to work on what is a very good pelvic floor system, but it's just not coping with the load that you're putting through it. And you're right, our guidelines will help you return to running, but to take you beyond more of that elite level, that's when you really do need more of a specialist
bespoke.
Yeah, more of a bespoke program. Yes, exactly. But I think that's fair to say with running itself, that's where you need a coach as well. You know, I'm a runner, but I do very basic running, 5 to 10 Ks four times a week. I don't really need anyone specifically helping me train for that because I don't have any major set goals like you do. Whereas someone like yourself, you need coaches and bespoke training in many elements of your training. You need a team to get you through that level of exercise or that level of goal, don't you really? Mm-hmm. Which is what hopefully you're getting.
No, and it is in so many ways. So I guess my team for this one, my running coach, super important, knowing the race and helping me to that. And the race is it's not really almost a running race in the end because it's logistics and sleep and nutrition and choosing when to sleep. In the race, you choose when to sleep. And there's only 5 checkpoints in 268 miles. So how much to sleep at each checkpoint or not. The first one I didn't sleep at all. First night I didn't sleep. Then I got a long one because it was a thunderstorm. So planning all that, planning all your food. I think I had 11 hours sleep over 119 hours, so 5 days, which worked for me. But so running coach and I guess race coach on that side, and a physio because I had hip problems that we're fixing. But then I think like kind of what you do in the women's physio actually goes alongside it and is not going to come from a standard physio. I talked to him about it, but he knew that that's a complete different area of expertise. But I need all these people. And actually I had some nutritionist help from Sophie Killer, who gave a talk at this Sports Exercise conference as well on helping, because I didn't know how my gut would fare over such a long period of time. And so taking out the saturated fats and keeping in the nice foods I liked, but not some of the like the sausage rolls went out the window, the pork pies, no more pork pies. They're really good running food, but not for 5 days. That's very sad. But she let me have all the chocolate, it was fine. So it really is a team and the specialists, but I think a lot of those principles can apply to, even though I'm doing things that sound crazy, there's women that are trained, there are loads of women trained for marathons and half marathons, maybe putting their bodies under more strain because it's on concrete and they don't have the massive team around them. So it's great to see kind of guidelines that anyone can use that aren't doing ultras, but actually have the different issues and helping you learn about what the issues, and even just saying that this is really, really common, and most women have a problem, and it's not normal, and it can be fixed. I think just the really simple message is so important, because you feel you're on your own, because no one tells you when you get pregnant that this will happen to you. Almost certainly will happen to you. And it's not, there's a 10% chance. It's so far, I don't know many women that don't have a problem, that have been mums. I know some people who aren't mums that have problems. It needs to break down saying it's okay, and here's all the help out there, and how to diagnose, and here, if you want to see a specialist, this is where you go.
Totally agree. And one of the things too that we that you've kind of touched on is that we really tried to get across in the guidelines was the other factors beyond just thinking about pelvic floor, all the factors that you've listed that particularly in your sport and elite training is important. The likes of and it was talked about at the Sports and Exercise Medicine Conference quite a lot, but REDS, so relative energy deficiency in sport, is a huge risk factor, and especially for the postnatal mom, because of all the things that are going on top of the idea of how much we're getting in terms of energy input, how much sleep and recovery we're getting, but we know we're trying to increase awareness of what sort of impact getting yourself into a state of too much energy output over the energy input could leave you with, and what sort of side effects. But you, again, have shown your planning and your team and all the considerations that go into your races and training to make sure that you don't get that, which is key.
I think a lot of it it's easy to tell when you're breastfeeding. I think is the easiest way to tell, because your milk supply goes down. Oh, I found mine went down. So I knew I needed to really fuel my runs. And I could have had a sense on calories, what I needed to do. When I didn't do that, and I didn't fuel my training sessions, my milk supply dropped. So it was easy to see that, that's the first thing often to go. Same thing with hydration. And that was a big thing in UTMB, is it's really hard to eat enough to get yourself round. It's much, much harder to get yourself round with a full milk supply. We call them eating and drinking races for a reason. Like an ultra is, you only have so much glycogen stores. That's not going to last you very long. That lasts you a marathon. The rest you have to actually get in your body, and your stomach's a muscle, and the blood flow is going away from it because it's going towards your legs and your arms, and so you have to reduce that use of the other muscles to give the stomach. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's so important. And I think having that energy that you need to recover, I found I was recovering slower. I felt it's really hard to have a good diet when you're breastfeeding, because all you want to eat is chocolate and biscuits. And it's hard, but trying to focus on the nutrition and making sure kind of the proteins are in there. And I use loads of protein shakes because they were just the easiest things to get down. But it is important to focus on and making sure, I think, especially for women who use fitness to keep their weight under control, and I'm definitely one of those as well, putting on the weight in pregnancy, there's always a temptation to lose it really quickly. But actually, for me, through breastfeeding and through exercise and eating enough, it just naturally does go back to normal. And trying to force that would probably have hampered my training and mainly led to injury. So I'm not aware of REDS in that I've never been kind of underweight. I've never had cycle problems. But I definitely am aware of, if I'm not fueling properly, I'm not going to perform as well. I'm not going to recover as well from my training. And breastfeeding, I wouldn't have had enough milk.
Crazy. But it's so good to raise topic, because so many women don't realise that they're going into REDS because they've no awareness of it, and they've no awareness of these changes or alterations that might be happening to their body, like the low milk, and they don't know how to attribute it to what they're doing to their body. Or even women who have their cycle back don't realize that changes in their cycle. So if they miss a cycle, or they have increase in gaps between them, that can be an indication as well that everything's getting impacted because of their bodily system. But it's and you've also touched on, which was really, really good, the pressures women are under. Like, we live in a day and age when you scroll through your social media and it would depress you because you see these women who look like the snapback, but everybody puts up the best pictures on social media. Nobody takes other than Sophie Solomon. I have to put my hands up to her because she's doing a lot of campaigning for real life at the minute. So I can't say everyone, but I just think that women, there's that temptation to go back into really strenuous training more for the want of losing weight or getting their figure back or things like that, which is really tough.
And you can't do, I think working out why you want to do things. I think having a goal of getting to a certain place, but you have to be kind, because for me, I'm very conscious to say that UTMB and finishing that was so that's 10 years of running training, 10 years of strength training, and it just happened to come together for me on the day. And that was everything clicked. Most of my plan had me not even on the start line. Then I was like, I'll start and I'll do 10K of walking. And then it was like, I'll try and get to halfway. And then I think that's why it's unusual, but I think it's about being individual and saying, physically, how do I want to feel mentally? You can't go back to where you were. And especially if you're breastfeeding, things are just different. So I've just stopped. My Cormac is 13 months. And it's only now that there are little pouches of fat that will go away, that went away the first time. Nothing was going to shift them. Like when I breastfed my first, now they start going away. Like, your body is not under your control in many ways. And to think you're going to try and get a six pack. I mean, some people can, they're genetically gifted. That's great. That's not really the important thing. The important thing is being physically and mentally well, and having a healthy baby.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we'll tie things up in a minute, but what I think is really powerful from your story is, yes, you achieved the unthinkable in a short time, but what I really love and what I think is really powerful for medical professionals and fitness professionals to take away is that a lot of the women I see are so desperate to run after their 6-week GP check, because that is their I guess that's their way of saying that they're getting their body back, getting themselves back, and also snapping back as well. What I think is really important is that we're encouraging our patients that they don't need to run to achieve those things. And I think with you, the reality is you didn't really run that much leading up to your, particularly to the UTMB. You didn't really run much at all, did you? Mm-hmm. And I think it's fair to say that you still had the endorphin kicks from all the stair mills, from the spinning. And I think it's okay as an athlete for you to hear from fitness professionals and from medical professionals that you don't have to run to achieve that endorphin kick to start getting back to normal and to achieving what you want to do, i.e. running a marathon or something like that. That's doable, isn't it? And it's okay as a fitness professional to say that to their clients. I'm perhaps not explaining very well what I'm trying to say, but we should be comfortable in saying you don't need to impact to lose weight and to get your body back and snap back. I'm not saying, what am I trying to say?
You're basically saying that it's totally okay to modify the rehab program or the fitness program to suit that lady's needs at that given time, and that it's okay to not feel pressured to have to be seen to get this woman back into high impact exercise if you're a fitness professional or rehab professional, and that we should be doing what's best for the woman, but that she doesn't have to sacrifice her goals because she can still strengthen the right muscles, get fitter, still get the cardio output, still achieve everything she wants to achieve in a modified way, and grade back in when she's ready to the higher impact.
Yes.
Running's not the only way to become a great runner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And I think actually people, when you cross train and you work out the muscles, so the stair mill for me, great cardio. I mean, my session on the stair mill was 10 minutes like I can kind of do it in levels, kind of like like level 10 or something. And then I did 2 minutes at level 14 and then 1 minute rest. And I did that 10 times. And then I had 5 minutes kind of cool down. That works. Some brilliant muscles that actually are really underutilized in runners. Most runners have really weak glutes. And that impacts their running, gets them injured more, and doesn't give them such a strong stride. You do stand more workouts, and that helps your running. Now, once you actually can run strongly, you just really want to be out there running, and you don't do this. So it's actually, you can see it as an opportunity to do some different workouts that are not only good for you, kind of so they're low impact, but actually they seeing it as a different block of training to say, I'm going to be strengthening these different muscles. And yeah, get in the gym and if you're going to have poles in an event, like do your tricep dips, do your pull-ups, use the opportunity that you're not out running all the time to work the different muscles that actually give you a much better base of strength as you go back to running. So it's not necessarily a downside. It's just tweak your training and come back even quicker and even stronger.
And I suppose safeguard the longevity of your return, as you've said. And for anyone who's read our guidelines, Tom actually recommends cross-training in the same way as that's what Sophie's referring to there. So it's the different elements of training that facilitate your overall journey back to the goal of running, which is ideal. It's as if you created the guidelines yourself, Sophie.
I think the main thing is like when most people, when they say, okay, you can't run, they say go swim. Now, most runners hate swimming, and it doesn't give you the same kick. Yeah. Like it doesn't give you the same kind of, it's not the same. And I'm rubbish. I'm so rubbish. Like I did an Ironman, but only because I wanted to learn to swim for the Ironman, forgotten everything. Don't like pools. I mean, that's all I did in my last pregnancy, end of pregnancy, but I hate swimming. But finding like the treadmill and incline, like we have access to treadmills, it's the same thing. It really is the same. And if you want to check, put your heart rate monitor on. Yeah. As what I say. Put your heart rate monitor on. Just see what walking on an incline and a treadmill does for you. And you can do it for longer. And you can kind of get a longer workout in during pregnancy and afterwards. So yeah, if you don't kind of trust us, just put your heart rate monitor on, see how you feel. But there are ways that are very similar to running. Like I hate the cross trainer. I do love a spin bike. It's very similar. It's not cross training as in go on that kind of boring bike in the gym. It really is very, very, very close to running. So close to running, very similar muscles. You're not losing anything. You're just actually making a return to pain-free, symptom-free running much, much quicker.
Brilliant.
And so Sophie, so we've had, you've seen the low impact suggestions that we've made in our guidelines, and you've really kindly given us some Sophie Power suggestions for low impact. So we are going to, we've been manic recently, but we are going to develop some of those amazing ideas that you've given us just to give fitness professionals and medical professionals some other ideas that they can suggest to the ladies that they see. We just need to do a little bit of work on that before we release those, but thank you for those, because they're going to incentivize lots of women out there, so they're brilliant. So finally, last two questions: did you enjoy the spine, and would you recommend it to all us recreational runners, all the recreational runners out there?
So the spine is, for people who don't know, it's the length of the Pennine Way. So it's the whole Pennine Way non-stop. And the Pennine Way is beautiful. And I'd never been on it. And it was one of the reasons wanting to do the race. And another reason is kind of getting away from the family, from being mum for a few days, I think is brilliant for mental health. So I think getting out in nature, getting away from childcare and being mum for mental health is, I think every single mum should do. Do I recommend most people go and run it non-stop? No, because I don't think most people would enjoy it as much as I did. There's some brilliant, we had a videographer follow me actually round, and there's some brilliant a video on my Instagram, and you can see it. And on the Montaigne Spine page, you can see the videos he took, and just actually you can feel it. You can see my gait and how much pain I was in on my infected swollen feet, because you're in bog the whole time. So the actual spine, no. But what I definitely recommend is kind of mums setting themselves kind of a challenge that involves getting away from home, that involves something that they've not done before. I think something like kind of 3 peaks or climbing a mountain, or something enjoyable. My hubby and I are off to the Dolomites next week on a child-free holiday, because we were married 10 years, and it's like, I can't wait, because I'm not carrying those kind of kids up those mountains, I quite think. But I think something like that is actually really kind of combining something to train for, something in nature, something that kind of you feel is hard, and really getting away, I think is completely separately to any recovery. I think is really important.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I will aim towards with Emma for after I'm due my baby in about 6 weeks time. So I hope to grade back into running or grade back into exercise and start training. I'm saying that, I'm like, I'm going to get myself into something and then be held, but I do want to do it. I want to set that goal.
I'm pretty sure
we'll find something. We will find something really, really cool. I'm going to look for it. So 6 weeks. Okay. So yes. So we're thinking next year. We'll find something really cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Something with good food, ice cream, cake, and nice views.
Wine. I take wine on these journeys too.
It's like one of the best races I did was in actually a great race in Italy called UTMR, which is the Ultrarunning Monte Rosa, and it's 3 or 4 days, mountain marathon a day. But in the afternoons, you start 6 in the morning. In the afternoons, you drink wine and eat pizza. And these beautiful.
That sounds like a bit of me.
There we go.
So that's more like it, right? Okay, yeah. We'll find one of those. I take my running really seriously. So I get that in there.
And finally, what are your thoughts on the guidelines? Do you like them? Are you pleased that there's something now that at least gives some clarity on the subject? Would just be great to hear, I guess, your we'd love your endorsement of them if you feel they're worthy.
I think the first thing is that they exist, and the awareness, I think, is the first part of the battle. So saying that this is a problem, saying that educating women that they need to even think about it in the first place, mm-hmm. I think is, even if they were useless, that's actually a really first step. What I like about them is that they talk about some of the symptoms and actually kind of say the detailed ones. I think people should probably go more than the infographic saying, where are you this? Like, I think they should really read into the different symptoms, the different things. Mm-hmm. It's not just about kind of leakage. It's about kind of pelvic pain. It's about diastasis recti, like what these different things are, and how they can take different steps to improve them. So everyone wants to self-diagnose. I think following the guidelines, you can get a good idea of what's happening to you, and then know whether you need to seek the kind of bespoke advice, or you can do a simplified program. So for me, I think they're really helpful. I think some people will need to see a specialist alongside. I think some people might not even need to. They'd be like, okay, I can do this program, and actually they'll get a lot better doing that. But I think the awareness side, alongside having this in place, saying it's normal, giving the women the support that they need, and then kind of getting everyone back. I think what's kind of shocking is the lack of support and education to women during pregnancy and after pregnancy. And we have a 6-week checkup, and it's basically to make sure we're not kind of depressed. Mm. And there's nothing really else in there. And I actually think that not being 100% physically fit, and not seeking help on these problems, not even knowing that they're real, you'll have mental health problems down the line, because you're not able to do things, and you'll not be able to participate fully in activity. We want more women to participate in sport. They can't do if they can't take a running step or they have kind of different kind of core problems. So I think they're really important. I think the people that know about them and athletes will go to them. I think they're actually very important for a whole range of women that may not go to them because they're not trying to run, they're trying to just live a normal life. And it'd be great to then have them as runners, but then start extending them to just, I would say, normal women, non-runners, just women who want to lead an active life that doesn't necessarily involve running.
Yeah, that's really, really good point, actually.
Yeah. So where do we find you, Sophie, if anyone wants to follow you or just read about your amazing achievements? What social media do you have?
So best place is Instagram. I'm ultra_Sophie. And if you want to read the story of the UTMB, then if you just now Google Sophie Power, my entire career has been wiped out by that photo. So there's great articles from Strava and Runner's World and The Guardian and from all over. And basically it looks like I've never done anything in my life bar get photograph my boobs out and a press mark. So, thank you to the guy Alexis Berg who took the photo. But no, it's a brilliant photo and it's done so many things for so many women. So I didn't set out to do any of this, but it's great to share the story and try and inspire kind of other women to do what they want to do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we think you're amazing and we love that you've spoken to us and that you like our guidelines and that you're helping us with the lower impact version. We're really grateful for all your time and just you being who you are and, you know, inspiring other women to achieve what they want to achieve. So thank you for spending the last hour of your life with us.
Yeah,
thank you for helping me with the spine, and as I now want to go run road, like I'm coming back.
Yeah, I know.
Not fixed yet. Nearly. We're so close.
We've got a bit more to do, but you're nearly there.
And it doesn't stop. I realized like this is actually, you have to do it forever. Like kind of
absolutely. Before you go, show us the paperweight on your desk.
Oh yes.
Let's get in the camera.
Yay! There's a way. So for anyone struggling, to remember, they need to get one of those. Every woman should have a paperweight sent out of a floor.
Absolutely.
To remind them.
So thank you, Sophie. You're amazing, and we'll hopefully post this up on our Facebook page over the next couple of days. So thank you.
Thank you.
No worries. And honestly, if anyone has questions, they just message me on Instagram and I respond to them all eventually. But no, anyone has like any separate things, more than happy to help. If I can get other people back running, then that's the main thing.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you so much.
See you. I got Love Island now. I'm so classy.
Yay, I know. I'm going to watch Love Island too, actually.
I'm recording it, so it's like